That's the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, joined by Paul McAllister, and this is the reaction to the Dele Alli Besiktas deal. Paul, give me your thoughts on the deal first of all.
He won't be missed, not by me. He came in, he did largely nothing. He's gone again within 8 months, was it? We're in August now, and he came in right at the end of, not even 8 months. He came in right at the end of January, and he's gone in the last week of August, I think we're in. So he didn't score a goal for us. I don't know, did he get maybe one or two assists? But it was a very ill thought out, silly signing on the face of it, a signing that was never likely to work at all. I guess the only justification for it was the fact that we didn't pay any money for him. We didn't pay a fee to Spurs back in January. We were in an absolutely, diabolical state at the club at the time. We just had to take a gamble, and we're not the first club that's done that when we found ourselves in deep, deep trouble like we were, and we probably won't be the last, but it was a gamble that, for me, didn't pay off. I mean, because I can't think of one standout performance from him, personally, so nothing personal, but Dele Alli, the footballer, might as well just retire, because to be going out to Turkey at 26 years of age, to one of the worst backwaters in European football, it's just sad, considering all the talent he had, but he won't be missed by Everton. And I understand it's leaving us short, but what did he really add anyway?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you hit it on the head in the terms that it's sad that at 26 had the world at his feet when he was like 20, 21. Had those really good seasons. People have been throwing up graphics of most goals and assists at such an age and all of that. On the Besiktas deal now, to almost defend him, it's like that doesn't really defend him. That just shows how quickly he dropped off. Sort of maybe it came too quickly for him. Maybe didn't handle it very well. But it just shows the drop off he had. In terms of the actual deal to Besiktas, it's a loan, isn't it? I think with an obligation, with an option to buy. And I think it's something like, is it 6 million if they do it before January? Then after that, it might go up to 8, something like that. If I was reading it right the other day.
I don't know if that's what it is. I know we're getting no fee for it, no loan fee. So apparently they'll be picking up all, or at least the bulk of his wages, which was the whole idea, really, wasn't it? We just want to get him off the wage bill. Whether that's because we just want to have a better set of accounts next year, or whether that's because we're freeing that money up for someone else now, you'd hope it's the latter. But for me, it just smacks again of people in the club making absolutely terrible decisions that directly affect us in the short term and the long term. As I said, he was a gamble. I kind of understand why sometimes you've got to take a gamble when you're in the state we were in, but how does it get to that point in the first place? And whoever signed off on that deal should be absolutely not having any say in whatever transfer strategy we've got this summer. And that appears to be the case, doesn't it? Because no one's left the club. It seems like it's still the same people, other than swapping Marcel Brands out for Kevin Felwell. Other than that, it seems to be the same people making the same decisions all over again. And what are the chances of these people at the club landing us with another Dele Alli? It's very, very high, in my opinion. They're probably going to go and get someone else for us, whether it's in this window or maybe in the January window or next summer's window. They're going to sign a player who turns out to be an absolute dud, and we've just wasted a load of time and probably quite a bit of money in the process. We got lucky with this in the sense that we didn't actually have to give Tottenham a fee till he played 20 league games, and less than 20 league games into it, we were desperate to get shot of him. So it's sad for Dele Alli, but it's also just, again, makes you put your head in your hands and think, why are these absolute idiots being allowed to decide the future of this club?
Yeah, I think one of the small, whether it's due to our financial situation or it's probably a small saving grace that we didn't have the money to go and burn, because this would be one that we could just see it scattergunning up the wall.
Oh yeah.
Tottenham must have thought, oh, he'll go to Everton, and whether they rekindles his career, they'll probably have thought, oh, they'll definitely play him because they need him. It screams volumes that even we're now, like you said, less than 6 months in, are like, not for us. It begs the question, like you said, like somebody had to sign it off. But it's a weird one. I was talking to some people the other day and was saying it looked like it might have been Frank Lampard, just because of the whole them hugging all the media pictures, the PR from the club, which you always have to take with a bit of pinch of salt anyway. But then when you think Frank Lampard doesn't play a 10, which I think is one of Dele Alli's main position.
Frank had been here a day, if that, before Dele. So I'm willing to believe that Frank was up for the deal, was happy to go along with it, and probably said when he was asked his opinion about it, yeah, I'd work with Dele Alli. I think I can get something out of Dele Alli. But whether it was Frank who actually went to whoever, Mashiri, Ken Wright, someone else, whether it was actually him who came up with the idea in the first place, Dele Alli's available from Spurs. Let's give them a call and go and get him. I don't think that was. I don't think that would have been Frank's decision. I think Frank was just happy to kind of go along with it. And he's been basically, I feel really sorry for Lampard in the whole scheme of things this summer, because although he's not been perfect in himself in his performance as a manager, I kind of feel like he's been led up the garden path here. I think he's been absolutely let down massively and probably been lied to compared to what he was told when he first took the job, compared to how things are playing out transfer wise. Because I remember when we were on the pre-season tour in America about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he was doing interviews with The Athletic, Paddy Boyland, and other journalists who cover Everton, and he was saying, I expect some, forward players and midfield players to be coming in the next week or two. That was over a month ago, and we still haven't seen any, other than Dwight McNeil and a couple of players, that Portuguese guy on loan. We haven't really made a kind of squad changing transfer business yet. We haven't made a signing where it makes people sit up and think, right, that player will come in and make a difference for us in the positive. There's no signing we've made that makes other clubs in the league sit up and think he'll do well at Everton. I wish they didn't get him there. We've just been scratching around, kind of taking the last thing on the shelf, it seems like. And we're going to go into the rest of the season with, a week left in the transfer window, and we're just back at square one again.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be a dragging of feet as well. As the window closes.
Dragging feet. No, dragging feet can be forgiven, mate. It's just pure incompetent. It's not dragging of feet. It's not like, they can do really good business. They're just taking the time with it. No, they don't have a clue what they're doing. Dragging the feet's being too cautious for them. Mate, they don't have the faintest idea what they're doing.
Well, I think that's pretty clear by the sort of policy we have of waiting until another club bids, then throwing in a panic bid. Obviously, we got Onana, who looks like he could be a player in a couple of years. And we end up getting Cody through the same aspect. But when you think West Ham, I think had gone in for Cody and Onana, and then the next thing you know, it's Everton have also gone in for him. There were reports we did it with João Pedro that have now been silenced because I don't think we have done that. But it's almost like a panic of, he was on our list. Let's just throw one in, see what happens. Which is again really silly. I know it's we've got the players twice, but you can't pin your season on that. And the big one being a striker, which is the big one we need, and we can't be, risking bids on that. But yeah, no, I fully agree, mate. It is just incompetence, and it's going to agitate fans quite a lot. But back to Dele Alli, like you said, no goals, no assists. I think he played 390 odd minutes for us, which is pretty much nothing.
That's nothing. What's that? 4 and a bit games.
Yeah, literally all bench appearances, pretty much. There were rumours about. I literally don't understand if it wasn't fit. The system wasn't fit enough, because you'd see some games where he'd come on and you think, oh no, he looks, and then some games where you think, God, he is absolutely blowing a gasket. Which then leads to the Mourinho quotes that have been dug up recently, haven't they? Now he's moved to Besiktas. The lazy in training stuff. The one day you're 20, the next day you're 56. So you could argue the writing was on the wall for us, couldn't you?
Yeah, going back, as I said, if we're going to take it back to just Dele Alli in terms of what's happened to his career and where he finds himself, it is just sad. That's the word. He had everything. He looked like the most talented English attacker midfielder of his generation. I always rated him higher than Barkley. Personally, I thought when Dele Alli broke onto the scene, he showed more than Barkley did when that breakthrough season he had under Martinez. I always thought Dele Alli was the better of the two, and he'd be the one who would be getting in the England team and having the England team built around him. And it looked like he was going to be a staple in the England team for at least a decade, didn't it? We went to the Euros in 2016, very young. He went to the World Cup in 18. Probably might have still gone to the Euros again if it had happened when it was supposed to happen in 2020, before it got delayed because of the COVID. It ended up a year. It got moved back a year, didn't it? So it happened last year. And by then, the decline had well and truly happened and the rot had set in. With Dele, you just got to have to hope the penny drops with him. He'll get over there to it's Besiktas, they're Istanbul, aren't they? He'll get over there to Istanbul. He'll play a few games in the Turkish league, realise what a backwater he's in, and the penny will drop, and he'll think, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?" he'll have like a sort of Sol Campbell at who was that? Was it Notts County where Sol Campbell signed for them when they were in League Two, and he played like a half, and then decided this is not for me. You're going to have to hope for Dele Alli. He has one of those moments where he just kind of has an epiphany in his head, and it all sort of clicks for him. And he thinks, "What am I doing with my career? What am I doing with my talent? Why have I ended up here when a few years ago I was playing in the Champions League final and I was going to tournaments for England and I had a top four side built around me?" It's sad, but so even a few of the things that we defended him for when he first got here, and we wanted to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt because that's just who we are as a fan base. Where if you, we kind of very hospitable in the sense that when a player signs for us, we'll take them in to start with, and we'll put our arm around them, and we'll give them the benefit of the doubt at least for the start. He turns up on his first day, and when he was unveiled on Goodison on the pitch with Donny van der Beek, people got really arsey at the time because I think it was Glenn Hoddle who made some comments in the media. Now, I do think Glenn Hoddle had other reasons for making those comments, and we won't go into them. But a large part of what he said was quite accurate in hindsight. Now, he said Dele Alli looked like he turned up like he'd just been to a youth hostel. He had a scruffy pair of jeans on, he had a scruffy pair of clothes on, he had a stupid scruffy haircut. I don't want to sound like I'm being horrible or I'm nitpicking or anything, but when a player like that comes to Everton, come on, mate, like look like just even pretend that you're happy to be here or that you're looking forward to it. Have a shave, cut your hair, put a nice suit on, put some aftershave on, come out and clap the fans and look like you can't wait to get started. Don't look like you've just been dragged out of bed. And that was just it in a nutshell with Dele Alli. He never wanted to be here. He wasn't bothered about being here. He's not bothered now that he's going somewhere else, is it? So it's if the fella doesn't care remotely about his career anymore, then knock it on the head, mate, because you're wasting your own time and you're wasting everyone else's time. Yeah, I don't have a personal problem with him, but you can just see there's a load of things to look at with him, and you think that is just so wrong. And Mourinho was absolutely right in what he said to him. You're going to get to about 50, and you're going to look back and think, what did I do with my career? He's going to live a long time retired with so many regrets, and unless he changes it round soon, he's going to have no one to blame for himself. But I think it's safe to say that his Everton career stint, tenure, whatever word you want to put to it, his time at Everton's well and truly finished.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about the unveiling as well. I think it's it's not as bad as Aaron Lennon looking like he wanted to absolutely kill himself when he signed for us in that photo. But no, I get what you mean, and obviously it's not just Mourinho. He's worked with Conte as well, so there's two world-class
managers. No time for him. Yeah, Conte legged him immediately. Yeah.
Espirito Santo, not as up there as those two, but another respected manager in the Premier League. Didn't want a bit of him either. So it was always a gamble. Do you think, in terms of him, for a personal point of view, like you said, you hope he looks around and goes, "God, what am I doing here? I was one of the greatest English prospects at one point." Do you think this is make or break for him now? Obviously, you saw, I think Batshuayi did well in Turkey. Some players go to Turkey and do well, which is a standard of the league. Do you think, though, if he doesn't hit this off, that could be really it for him? Because where do you go after you don't make a success in Turkey? Where's next?
Even if he does make a success in Turkey, what does it really prove? You say Batshuayi's got over there and done well, but Batshuayi can't get a move this summer either. We've been linked with him, and I don't think that's going to happen. And a couple of other teams have been linked with him, and they haven't put, as far as I know, no one's officially bid for him. It's all just whispers. No one's actually rang Chelsea up on the phone and went, right, there's our bid on the table. We want Michy Batshuayi based on what he did in Turkey last year. The only saving grace Dele Alli's got is that he's 26. He's, if he tends to play on till he's about 34, 35, then he's got quite a long bit of his career left. Theoretically, he's about halfway through his career. But if he doesn't absolutely tear that league to shreds, we're talking about being by far and away the player of the season. I just don't see any way back for him in the Premier League. And if he can't get back to the Premier League, maybe another league that will take a chance on him, like an Italian club or something, or maybe a French club, and he can kind of go and have a nice life somewhere. But in terms of Dele Alli just kind of being a superstar player and getting back in the England team and having everyone kind of talking about him again in a serious fashion, as in like, oh, this guy's going to go and help this club win trophies, I think that's probably gone, sadly, and he's got no one to blame but himself, unless there's something off the pitch that we as the public don't know about. If that's the case, then I'd be happy, and that comes out, I'd be happy to take it all, my criticism back of him, unless there's something really, really serious going on off the pitch that he's kept private. Then you'd have to look at him and think, this is entirely your fault, what's happened to your career, mate, because your attitude's just not good enough.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think he's got what, like, at some point in his career, like you said, he's only 26, so it's mad to say it now, but I think he's got an MLS move in him at some point into Miami. They've got, I think they've got Kieran Gibbs there now. It's proper
That's
speed.
worse.
Yeah,
That's where if the, MLS is what it is. MLS doesn't pretend to be something it isn't. When you go to MLS, you're only going there for one reason, to get a couple of quid before you retire. There's more dignity in playing in Turkey when you're in your mid-20s than there is in MLS. And that's not to kind of just completely dismiss MLS, but the only players who are in the mid-20s who play in MLS are players who are trying to get a move over to Europe, players who've come from South America or North America. No European players who played in the Champions League go to MLS before they're 30, unless they're absolutely crocked or they've just done something in their careers, which means no one wants to touch them. So that will probably be where he ends up, though. You're right. He's gone to Turkey, which is a backwater. And unless he does something absolutely incredible out there, he's probably going to end up in another backwater. And it's sad again.
Trying to look at, I mean, it is sparse. Like we've said, trying to look at some positive. There will be some watching this now. That mentioned the Crystal Palace game. I personally like.
No,
Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to dismiss his efforts and his contribution, but I do think the changing of the shape helped more than he wasn't the impact sub. He was a sub that helped us change shape and then contributed. But just give me your thoughts on the Palace game, because people will in the comments mention it.
yeah, you can't take that away from him. But fact of the matter is, if he'd have performed better in any of the games prior to the Palace game, we wouldn't have needed to be in that situation that we were in. He'd have come in and made the difference that a lot of people would have hoped he would. Where he'd have maybe 3 or 4 games here or there where he proves the difference and he turns a draw into a win or a loss into a draw. We wouldn't have been in that situation, would we? So I know it was an absolutely critical, hugely important 45 minutes in the club's history, like a moment in time sort of thing. But I'm sorry, just playing well for 45 minutes in what was, when you strip it all away, just a Premier League game against another bottom half side. It's nothing to hang your hat on, mate. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So yeah, he'll always have that. You can't take it away from him. But when you basically say the sum of his Everton career, the positive of it was a 45-minute appearance against another team in the Premier League that was on paper not much better than us. That's not really anything to hang your hat on, I'm afraid. He wouldn't have, that 45 minutes wouldn't have been anywhere near as consequential if he'd have come in and done anything prior to that. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and I must admit, no, not that people will argue it's not what all games are still, but no goals or assists in that game either. So it wasn't like we brought him on and he, single-handedly dragged us with, a goal or assist. People making out almost like he was, we brought him on and he dragged us to safety. He didn't drag us. He just helped contribute to an
Yeah,
important 45 minutes where other players as well also dug their feet in and contributed towards that 45.
yeah.
Not
He wasn't Gareth Bale in the Champions League final, was he? Come on. Do you know
No,
what I
no.
mean?
I was going to say, and he wasn't sort of like a Gerrard against West Ham in the cup either. He didn't just come on and absolutely drag a
Did
team
he
to
Yaman against, in Istanbul? No. I
yeah,
can say, do you know what I mean? Uh, you can't turn up like 7 hours late to work and be really good for that 1 hour at the end, and then get a pat, and then everyone kind of singing your praises about how good you are. Not my book, at least.
no, and I think that's where we'll end on Dele Alli because, like we said, a very short Everton career. Unfortunately, it's going to go down as one of those classic Everton signings where you just look back and you think, "What on earth did we do that for?" But that's all we got. I think that's all we can cover on Dele Alli in his Everton
Yeah.
career.
Good luck to you, Delhi, mate. But don't write. We won't write you. That's simple.
Yeah, hopefully for the sake of just the waste of potential, he finds his way somewhere back along it. But that's up to him now, isn't it? Like he's had for the last 4 years, it's in his hands. He'll have to make the best of it. Don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts. Try and summarize Dele Alli's Everton career in a couple of words. And we'll see you guys very soon.